Brawlers, welcome to the Brawling Pit. We talk about all things casual and kitchen table magic like Brawl and EDH. You're listening to episode 32. I'm Johnathan Tang, and he is Jacob.
Yo.
Yo, how are you?
I'm not bad, man. How are you?
I'm doing great.
How was your week?
So, just like every other week.
Really? Nothing new?
Yeah, the new thing is I couldn't move yesterday, but let's not talk about that.
Hey, what are you doing for Halloween?
I think you asked me that exact question last week, and I told you.
Yeah, but that was last week, and now we're this week, and by the time this gets pushed out, it's like basically going to be Halloween.
Yeah, it will literally be the night before Halloween when we release
Yeah,
this.
so I'm gonna ask it again. What are you gonna do for Halloween? And anything changed?
I'm gonna be Lazov the shapeshifter, and I will be shapeshifted into Johnathan Tang.
Yep. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And as a shapeshifted Johnathan Tang, what are you gonna be doing?
I would probably be editing the YouTube episode.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Spending your Halloween night instead of partying, you're gonna be editing.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
The life of a YouTuber.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
How about you?
Honestly, probably studying for an exam.
Oh, so instead of partying, you're gonna study for an exam. That's even worse than editing an episode.
Yeah.
Like, at least I enjoy somewhat of what I'm doing. You're literally taking an exam.
Yep, I gotta cram.
Yeah, and like
fun stuff.
Like one wrong step and you're screwed.
Yep, 100%.
So
100% that. Oh man.
Yep. Listeners out there, brawlers, make sure to study for your exams if you're
and if you are partying, if you're partying, stay safe.
Yep. So this week we have a brawler that wrote in and they provided us. Yeah. Again,
we're getting a lot of those.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a lot of those, but this one is something that I do want to dedicate the entire episode to. This listener wanted us to. Yeah, this listener wanted us to deck doctor their deck, and it was a commander deck. It is a commander deck that I already want to build. Like I already want to build around this commander, and
that's why this one gets accepted, but the other ones don't.
Yeah, and well, it's just like I'm killing two birds with one stone, so it's like a lot easier.
Okay.
And
no, I don't blame you. I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, since I'm already doing the analysis for this commander, and someone wrote in with their deck, which I will post the deck list in the show notes. I might as well just do the deck doctor with my deck building. So we are going to talk about. We're going to deck doctor Etrata the Silencer today.
Yeah, but hold on. So before you go into that too, Mar, you at least you reply to the other people, right? Like you give them some pointers anyways, though. You just written in like an email back or something.
Yeah, I reply to almost everybody.
Oh, so you don't swerve people. Okay, that's good.
I try not to.
I was gonna say if you're swerving people, that's not good. But that's good.
Yeah, I try to reply to everyone. And if I don't reply to your email, I would have read it. And the reason why I haven't replied is because I haven't gotten to it yet. So,
but that's good. Okay, so all right, let's go into Etrata. What about Etrata do you like?
Well, you know I like alternate win cons.
Oh,
and
man. I know it like gets you going, man.
Yeah. Let me remind our brawlers who are driving right now and they don't have time to look the card up. All right.
Oh, or we don't want them to put their lives at risk while they're driving and looking at their phone.
Yeah, so I'm gonna remind you what the card does by reading it. Etrata the Silencer is a 2 blue black for a 3/5 legendary vampire assassin creature. She can't be blocked. And there must be a downside, right? Because it's a 4-drop 3/5 with unblockable.
Yeah, the downside is she sucks.
When Etrata deals combat damage to a player, you exile target creature that player controls. Then you put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exile cards with hit counters on them. Then Etrata's owner shuffles Etrata into their library.
You know the meme with I forget what famous celebrity, but like it was like two, or it was a 2x2, and on the right column it was like I sleep and then I'm awake or like real stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's you. Or it's like it could be like the top one for you would be like I sleep, and it'd be like a Tom McGoy on steroids. Like it'd be like Tom McGoy, but it also had like unblockable, hexproof, and indestructible or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like I'm asleep, and then the bottom's like you win the game or your opponents lose the game, and then for you like I'm awake, and it could be like the worst card ever in the world.
Yep. It dies. Well, this card doesn't die to Doomblade, so it's slightly better than Tom McGoy.
But it's like it fits you so perfectly though, you know? And that's not a bad thing. I think it's just a testament to your inner Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. It is a good card. And we'll go over how to break this card really soon when we talk about the cards to add, by the way. We're going to suggest 10 cards to add, and all of them will be below $5 because this brawler is on a budget and they're new to the game, about 3 months into the game. So this deck list is more like a bunch of cards that they already have that they put together.
And we also, in addition to like not wanting to, ask them to invest a bunch of money in a game that maybe they're not sure they like. I hope they like it if they've been playing for 3 months, but maybe they're still, dipping their toe in. That's understandable. We also don't want to just like suggest a million commons, even if they are only like 5 cents each. Like it's still kind of a hassle to get all the individual commons that are like better than the ones you have,
Right. So like we're not going to tell you, hey, instead of negate, you should be playing counterspell because that's you can find that out yourself, right? You can be like, okay, what is a blue counterspell that I can play? Oh, counterspell is one.
Yep, and if you do decide to keep upgrading the deck and stick with it and make the jump, then you should play counterspell instead of negate. But that's you don't have to.
Right? Yeah, you can keep the cards you have right now, and they're totally fine. And the cards that we'll suggest are not only really synergistic with the deck's game plan.
The cards are also like they're really really impactful, and they're maybe they're not the flashiest, but they'll have like the most impact, and they're worth your time to go on your way to get.
They're impactful, and most of them, I'll say most of them, you can play it in other decks. Once you're tired of this one, you can move them to a different deck, and they'll still work. Most of them are colorless. So yeah, with that caveat, and we also want to talk about the goal of the deck that this brawler defines when they put this deck together. So this is a paraphrased version of what this brawler wants to do with this deck. It's basically to use Etrata's win condition, or player loses the game condition, while keeping her out of the command zone to keep her recast cost low. And they want to shuffle as much as possible and tutor her back out, and just have some removal spells and protection spells to support that plan, right?
I mean, that sounds sensible.
Yeah, it sounds fine. Not a bad plan. Maybe a little slow. So we're going to go over some ways to break that. How do you maybe make the plan faster, right? Because tutoring is very slow. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about some cards to add. We're gonna talk about 10 of them. All of them are under $5 again. Like we said, we're not going to talk about soaring, but you should put that in the deck.
Wait, we're not talking about soul, but is soul ring something that he should put in the deck?
Is something that by default you should have in your deck, but I'm fine with like maybe this brawler's playgroup, soft banned soul ring, and that's fine.
Okay, all right. If there's actually a ball group that ban or EDH group that bans soul ring, I'm in.
Yeah, so
I think that card should be banned.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about soul ring.
But if your group doesn't ban soul ring, play soul ring.
If your group doesn't play soul ring, play soul ring, because you can literally do like island soul ring and then turn 2 swamp Etrata. It can be that fast. So
this is such a dumb card.
But the first card that I want to talk about, like to make your plan faster, right? What's faster than doubling everything? Is Stronic Resonator. So Stronic Resonator, this is one of those cards that you can put in most decks. A lot of decks that cares about trigger abilities. Is a 2 mana artifact that says pay 2 tap to copy target trigger ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Basically, when your opponent has 2 creatures, you swing a Etrata at this opponent, and you pay 2 to copy the on hits trigger. So when you hit the opponent, it's going to put a trigger on the stack that says exile something that player controls and put a hit counter on it, blah blah blah, and then you shuffle. Now, Stranded Resonator can copy that trigger ability, allow you to choose a different target creature. So you're exiling 2 things on one swing. You're literally doubling your effort, which is really good.
I remember back in Theros Standard when Mono Black Devotion was a thing with Grey Merchant of Espadal was in Standard.
Yeah.
This card got played with Grey Merchant.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't good because that was literally the only card that womboed with. But I saw it at FNM a lot and it was hilarious when it happened.
My gosh. That's so good. That is so good.
Actually, no, I lied. It also womboed with Life Trigger Zombie.
Yeah. Stranded Resonator is a great card. And
yeah,
you should put it in the deck. And it's colorless, so it's really easy to cast. It only costs 2. The effect is cheap. And it combos with this next card that we were going to talk about. This is the best commander in the game. And
all of EDH too, the entire internal format.
Yeah, in the entire commander format and brawl format.
Wow,
this is the best commander there is, and it's Helm of the Host. Helm of the Host is a 4-mana legendary artifact equipment that equips for 5, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if the equipped creature is legendary, and that token gains haste. If you have Helm of the Host on the Etrata already, at the beginning of combat, Helm of the Host is going to put a trigger on the stack that says, hey, make a copy of the Etrata, and it's not legendary. You can use Stronic Resonator to copy that trigger, so you're putting 2 hasty Etratas on the battlefield that they can swing right away. That will give you 3 Etratas that you can swing at one person with 3 creatures that just kills them.
You know, I was saying, like, I was harping on Etrata, you know, like, when we first saw the card. I'm like, man, this card sucks. You know, it's horrible. But that was all in the context of the Brawl format. In the Eternal format, when you have more effects like this, where you can, like, you know, break the card.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's what it's about, right? Like, we're trying to break the effect so you can end the game quickly and effectively. And this next card also breaks the card. And it's like 25 cents, which is great. Crystal Shard is a 3-mana artifact that says pay 3 and tap, or pay blue and tap to return target creature to its owner's hand, unless it's a controller pays 1. You're never gonna pay 1. This is always going at Etrata.
Yep. That might not be obvious either for like a new player.
You're not bouncing your opponent's things with this. You're always bouncing Etrata. Basically, when
but you can bounce your opponent's stuff too. If
you can if you want. But why would you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? When you could be spending that mana to bounce your Etrata.
And that creature that you want to bounce, you're exiling it anyways. So, yeah, you're going to. This is how it works. You're going to attack with Etrata, and when the trigger's on the stack for the on hit, you can bounce it in response. So you still get to exile something, but when it says, "Hey, shuffle that card into your library," well, that card isn't on the battlefield anymore, so you shuffle nothing. And
now you get to play it again, and now you don't have to tutor for it.
Now you need to pay it. Now you can just play again, and this is a recurring effect, which is I highly encourage for Commander. If you're playing Commander or Brawl, you want things to stick on the board, and this is an effect that will stick on the board for the long haul. You don't want to play like one bounce spells that says, "Oh, I'm gonna bounce that into my hand." I mean, you can still have bounce spells, and you have plenty of bounce spells in your deck, which I respect.
But
But
this
it's
is
good to
probably
have
just
one or two.
optimal.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have one or two options that just stays there, right? So great card. And speaking of bounce,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you read the next card. Like you love this card.
Well, yeah, this next card is Deadeye Navigator, and he's pretty good. He's so good that I forget his casting cost. He's
Oh
only
my
2, right?
gosh.
He's only 2, right?
No. So Deadeye Navigator is 4 blue for a spirit, a 5/5 spirit. It has Soul Bond, so you may pair this creature with another unpaired creature when either one enters the battlefield. So it can be Etrata first or Deadeye Navigator first, and then it doesn't matter. You can Soul Bond them as long as they're unpaired. Now, as long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures pay 1 and a blue to exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So you can flicker Etrata. You don't even need to bounce it to your hand and recast it anymore. You just pay 2 and you flicker it in response to the on-hit trigger.
And also, I should note that Deadeye Navigator is an EDH staple. Like, if you're playing blue and you have a lot of ETB effects, or even just creatures, maybe they don't have ETB effects, but you want to protect them, you probably still play Deadeye Navigator anyways. This card is really, really good, and it has a huge target on its back.
Oh, Jesus.
But that doesn't. But just because something has a huge target on its back doesn't mean you don't play it. You still play this card.
I mean, yeah, you still play it. And, oh man, I've seen people break this card and
yeah. Oh man, card is nuts.
plenty of decks.
It's sad,
really
but
nuts.
this card actually wasn't that good when it was in standard.
Yeah,
because it was just too slow. I mean, well, like it, whenever Innistrad was in standard, so Innistrad Mirrodin, I think, and Ravnica Innistrad standard. Both those standards were insanely fast, with the former being faster than Ravnica.
Yeah,
if that could even be possible, Ravnica was already pretty fast standard.
Right. Oh, Ravnica is extremely fast, especially after Gatecrash released.
Yeah, but the standard right before that was even faster.
Yeah. So it didn't see a lot of light during its time, but like after, wow, it's so good in Commander.
Yep.
Dude, you can bounce Mold Drifter. 2 mana, draw 2 cards.
Yep. And that's like with EDH, being kind of a slower and clunky format. I mean, it's a lot faster than Brawl because I mean you have a lot of cards to pick from, so your decks are a lot more refined.
Oh
but
boy.
Even then, EDH is still comparatively to all the other like constructed formats, like kind of a slow format. So you have time to play Deadeye Navigator, and yeah, this card, if it's not killed, it's just gonna take over because of how Soul Bond works too. Like
exactly.
Like
so good.
It's once this thing hits, it's really hard to get rid of it because both creatures have the flicker effect.
Oh yeah, you can flicker Deadeye.
Yeah, you can flicker Deadeye itself,
and you can in response to flickering Deadeye, you can flicker the other Soul Bond creature too.
Yeah, so dumb. Like it's just like that 2 mana like blank that removal spell.
Oh my gosh!
If this thing hits, it's hard to get off the board. It really is.
Well, Jacob,
what?
I'm gonna start cheating a little bit.
Okay.
Instead of talking about 1 card in the next slot of 10, I'm gonna talk about 2 cards that do the same thing. So you can play both if you want, or you can just choose one, right? But we're gonna talk about 2 cards that functionally they do the same thing in this deck, and they're both like 25 cents. So the first one is called Vanishing. Is blue for an enchantment aura enchant creature. You can pay blue and face out the enchanted creature. What does facing mean, Jacob?
Gee, I don't know. Why don't you tell me about it? Level 1 judge.
So when a thing is faced out, it's treated as though it doesn't exist.
But what about enchantments attached to it?
It's still there. It faces him before his controller untaps during its next untap step.
It's like the most arbitrary thing ever, but
the point of facing out Etrata, by the way, this always goes on Etrata, is in response to the on-hit trigger of shoveling her into your deck, you just face her out. So, number 1, it doesn't shovel it in your deck or it doesn't bounce it to your hand. So it sticks on the battlefield until before your next untap step, like in the face and face. I don't know if that's the thing, but that means Etrata is protected the entire time. Throughout the entire table.
It's just like your Jedi Navigator, but it costs 1 instead of 6.
Yep. So finishing is great in this context. It just protects her. It helps you keep her on the battlefield. And it does the same thing with this next card, which is Medallion Illusionist. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. You can pay blue, tap, and say target creature faces out. So for the same activated cost, you can face out Etrata. This is slightly easier to remove, but just play both if you can. It's good to have some redundancy, and I treat them as the same card, so I'm not gonna count that against myself for the 10 cards requirement.
I would. Just to be contrarian though. No, I don't really have a reason.
But this is a great card for within the stack, and it's not that good of a card outside, which is why it's like 25 cents. These are some of those cards that like you can only put in this deck, but it's 25 cents. Who cares?
Just to be a little more clear on the phasing out, this is more like a technical rule too. Anything that's attached to an object that phases out also phases out with it, so they can't target vanishing either. Phasing out is a dumb mechanic.
So the next batch of cards, I'm taking the cheat to the next level. I'm not only talking about one card, I'm talking about a crap ton of cards. Ninjas. You want to play ninjas? What are ninjas?
I don't know. What's a ninja?
A ninja is like Japanese, or just anyone who dresses in black or blue, and they are like spies in the Japanese. No, in the game, ninjas is a creature type, and most of them have ninjutsu, which means if a creature is not blocked, you can pay a certain cost to swap that creature with this ninja in your hand. Most ninjas have an on-hit effect, which is why it's good. You're not gonna care about the on-hit effects on these ninjas because you have the best on-hit effects on your commander. I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. Yeah, you can play Ninja of the Deep Hours, Misplaced Shinobi, Skull Stature, Throat Slitter. They're all just like ninjutsu creatures. I'm not going to suggest Yuliko the Tiger Shadow to you because that's like $20. But if you have the resources, just try to locate as many ninja cards as possible. And the way you exploit these ninjas is you attack with Etrata, and in response to the on-hit trigger going on the stack to allow you to exile something, because Etrata would never be blocked. In response to the trigger, you swap them out. So you pay your 1 and a blue for the Ninja of the Deep Hours to replace Etrata, and now Etrata is in your hand, and your Ninja of the Deep Hours is on the battlefield.
And once again, this is another mechanic that isn't exactly intuitive, but with the way combat works is you have 5 steps of combat. I'm going to try and simplify this as much as I can. You have the beginning of combat, you have your attacker step, the blocker step, the damage step, and you have the end of combat step. So basically, it might seem dumb, but your creature is considered attacking even past the damage step. So even after damage, you go to the end of combat step. But that's not really super relevant here. But what is relevant is that you are allowed to assign damage with Etrata, put the trigger on the stack, the trigger that you're trying to win the game with, and before that trigger happens, Etrata is still an attacking creature, which is why this works.
Yeah. And I want to call one of the ninjas that like if you're playing a ninja, this is the first one you're putting in, and it's Walker of Secret Ways. So Walker of the Secret Ways, the reason why it's good is because it's 2 and a blue for a 1/2 human ninja with ninjutsu for 1 and a blue. So you can pay 1 and a blue to swap things out. I'm not gonna read the on-hit trigger because it doesn't matter to you. But you can pay 1 and a blue to return target ninja you control to its owner's hand. Activate this ability only during your turn. So you can attack with Etrata, swap them, in response to the exile trigger. You can play Etrata back, and the next turn you can pay 1 and a blue to bounce Walker back to your hand, or you can do it like right after you play Etrata. It doesn't matter. You can basically reuse this shenanigan over and over again. And we have talked about having recurring effects is great. So this would be the first ninja I suggest you to put into this deck.
Yeah, and Swiftwood Boots is another card that I think should be banned, and this is the nerf version of another card that I think should also be banned. Swiftwood Boots is a 2-mana artifact equipment, and equipped creature has hexproof haste, and you pay 1 to equip it. That's a pretty good deal. You can play the Swiftwood Boots on turn 2 or whatever, and then whenever you go to play your Etrata, maybe you sandbag it and wait till turn 5. That way you can equip and attack with Etrata on turn 5. This is good because tempo wise, you're not really losing a turn. Like, you are losing some mana if you don't spend your mana on turn 4, but you're minimizing your exposure to removal because now they need to spend their instant speed removal on turn 5. You're not giving them the opportunity to play your guy on turn 4, do nothing, pass, and then everybody has a turn with all their mana available ready to kill your guy. They have to do it right then. So you're improving your odds of Etrata sticking on the board.
Yep. So if Boost is just a general good card, and you can play this in pretty much any commander deck. Like I would say that you can play in any, like every single commander deck can play.
Yep.
Swiftwood Boots.
And this is, if you think this card is good, which it is good, there's an even worse version. And when I say worse, I mean stronger. It's called Lightning Greaves. It's 2 mana for the same thing, except it's equipped 0.
Oh, Lightning Greaves is quite broken. But you should not play Lightning Greaves in this deck, by the way. And the reason why is because it gives Shroud. It gives Shroud.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't want to lose the ability to do any of your shenanigans.
There's a technical difference between Hexproof and Shroud. Hexproof, only your opponents can't target your stuff, but you can. Shroud means not even you can target your own stuff.
Right.
And
so,
also, Lightning Greaves is like $6 anyways. So that's why we didn't suggest it.
Yep. The next card is an equipment. Again, Quietus Spike is 3 mana for an equipment that equips for 3. It gives equipped creature Death Touch, which doesn't matter for you. But whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. Now you're adding a plan B to your deck with this one card. The plan B is kill them.
Quietus Spike gives you an alternate win con, in addition to your alternate win con.
Yeah, so you now you have 2 win cons. Your first win con is on Etrata herself, and your second win con is kill them. And this beats up the kill them plan really, really fast.
Exponentially fast, because that's how math works.
Exponentially fast. Let's talk about the next card. And this is a weird one. It even has a different frame than most cards. Flush Rither is 2 black for a 3/3 horror that says Transfigure. Wow, what is Transfigure? You can pay 1 black to sack this creature and search your library for a creature card with the same confirmed mana cost as this creature. Put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Transfigure only as a sorcery. This is a tutor for Etrata. Like, in case any of our shenanigans don't work, like the facing, the bouncing, the flickering, in case they don't work and your Etrata is in your library. Now, this is a plan. This is a thing that you can guarantee to fetch Etrata and have it already on the battlefield, so you don't need to pay for to play it. You're sort of cheating the mana cost.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty good card.
Yeah, it's an alright card. Okay, so the last card of the 10 that we want to recommend to you. This is a good card. And this is something that it doesn't actively contribute to your game plan, but it passively does. It's like a secondary support. Sword of the Animus is a ramp card in your deck. It's a 2 mana artifact that equips for 2, and it gives equipped creature +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Blue and black are not that great at ramping. Like, I mean, black has like mana doublers, but we're not playing those in this deck. And blue ramp is like non-existent.
I'm always on board with artifact equipment. I think they're highly underrated by a lot of people. Like especially if you play standard, you don't actually play a ton of equipment, but like in longer games when you're trying to like extract a lot of value, equipments are really good because like unlike enchantments, they don't like go to the graveyard when the creature that it's attached to dies, but also they help you turn your smaller threats into bigger threats or your bigger threats into really monstrous threats.
Absolutely. So those are the cards that we suggest you to add. Now let's cut into the part where we cut the cards. We're gonna give you a caveat that says, by no means are these cards bad, but we are suggesting you cut it because we don't think they contribute to the deck's plan, and we'll talk about why we think this card is a good as we talk about them. So the first one is Barrier of Bones. It's black for a 0/3 defender, and when it enters the battlefield, surveil 1.
So Barrier Bones. My issue with Barrier Bones is like it doesn't do enough of what you might want to do with a card like Barrier Bones. So first of all, Barrier Bones is extremely passive. That's not a bad thing intrinsically, but it also doesn't do its job as a wall very well because it's only an 0/3 and it doesn't like threaten to trade with whatever it's attacking into you. But on the other hand, it's also not very good at value. Like there's, for example, like Wall of Omens, which you're not in this card, that's no point about. But like Wall of Omens allows you to draw a card, but it's also a wall, and it doesn't trade with anything that attacks into you. It just dies, but that's fine because it draws you a card and it buys you time. But this card doesn't draw your card. It's just Surveil 1, which in my opinion is honestly just a worse Scry. I'd rather just have Scry 1 instead. It doesn't do enough value. It doesn't block very well for you. It doesn't trade for you. So like this card is just doesn't do anything well. If you're going to be playing a wall, there are much better walls at your disposal than this card.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One thing we want to suggest when you're putting a card in a deck, you want it to be proactive. Either contribute to your game plan or be something threatening that your opponent has to have an answer to. And this doesn't do that quite that. Your opponent's going to look at the 0/3 and they're going to ignore it for the whole game. They're still going to attack you. They're not going to care about the 0/3 that can block one of their things because it just dies.
Yeah, it's just going to die. It's not even going to trade. And I mean, some game plans, it does matter when you like gain, 3 life or whatever. But like, one, this isn't that deck. And two, once again, there are better walls that will gain you more life cumulatively over the game than this card will.
Yep. So that is card number 1 that we'll cut because it's not proactive enough. Number 2 is Hired Poisoner. 1 mana, 1/1, Death Touch. I love those in limited. In draft and steel, I play those all day.
I hate how unlimited though too. I just hate this card unlimited, and it's not because it's a bad card. It's actually pretty good. I hate it because it's like you can't like attack into it because it's gonna trade with your best guy, and if you don't attack, well then you're not attacking, and you have to spend removal on it. And like unless you have like a shock or like a gut shot lying around in limited, which you very rarely do. Like it's just like this guy just it just gets so much value just by existing on the board. And if they want to be aggressive with you, that means they're going to get in for 1 damage every turn, or you're trading a creature with it. And it's like the worst thing in the world.
And it's the ultimate feel bad, right? But that only works because in the limited environment, you have on average 1 to 3 bombs. Like 3 bombs is really good, I would say. Like if you have 3 bombs in your deck, you should be winning a lot. Your 1/1 Death Touch on the board is basically saying that, hey, your best card in the deck is potentially blanked because if you attack me, that thing dies right now against my very, very weak card. Or you have to burn a removal on my 1/1 instead of my bombs, right? It doesn't quite work that way in Commander because in Commander, instead of having 1, 2, 3 bombs, your opponents are going to have around 63 bombs in their deck because, they're playing 37 lands most of the time. If they have 63 bombs in their deck, your 1/1 gets rid of one of them. Well, they still have 62. And your 2 other opponents, they still have their 63s.
And don't misunderstand, we're not saying never play a single target removal, because you probably should play a few single target removals in your EDH decks. It's just like with actual removal, like Doomblade or Murder, you get to like pick and choose, often at instant speed, what you're hitting. Whereas with this card, you're relying on them either blundering and blocking, or blundering and attacking, and you get to block with it. It's just, it's not optimal. Basically, it doesn't do you had the right idea, but it doesn't do what you want it to do often enough. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't
And
play
it's
it.
also dies too easily. Like there are way too many ways to splash damage this thing, right? It dies way too easily to collateral damage. Like they cast a board wipe, oh it's gone, it never did anything.
Or even
You pay
cards that
one
just
card.
like deal one to everything, or give all creatures like -1/-1 or something, or
Yeah,
just any of those type of
exactly.
effects. There are a million and one of those type of effects that like just deal one to everything, or give everything -1/-1, or even -2/-2. Just they're just all over. This thing will die very often without getting you any value. Basically, you're just playing
Yeah,
a card down.
yeah. So Hyrule Poisoner is the second card that we'll suggest you to cut. And the third card is very similar. It's also is also pretty good in draft. It's Demir Spybug, which is blue black for a 1/1 with flying menace, and it grows whenever you surveil.
So this card is actually pretty good if you're playing with Surveil, but I'm not a huge fan of Surveil, so that's why we marked it for replacement.
Yeah, I don't think you should rely on Surveil in this deck. Number one, Surveil doesn't really contribute to your game plan of killing someone with Etrata. I mean, it does filter your deck, but it's not that great of a way to, filter for your deck. And the Mirror Spybug, although being a good card, I don't think it helps you very much. A, a 2-mana 1/1 flyer, like even if you pump it twice, a 3/3 flyer in Commander just doesn't matter most of the time.
Like the damage is nice, but it's not really that nice.
Yeah, like most of the time when the way Commander games work, like when it comes to like combat, games are won by the person swinging in with a 40/40, right? That's how games are won. And a 3/3 is not a 40/40.
Yeah, it's like kind of like incremental advantages, but they snowball into like really really huge advantages, and then it's like, oh, I have a 40/40. Um,
Yep.
and that's like that's like threaten the game in one turn. Whereas the mere Spybug, I mean, yeah, it is incremental advantage, but like it takes too long to snowball, so you can't like realistically threaten the game in a quick window. This thing is still gonna take like 10 turns to actually like threaten
Yep.
any game.
Yep.
So it's just too slow, too slow.
Yep. Similarly, even Wind Mage. Not that great. It's a 3-mana 2/2. Basically with like, oh, it flies, by the way. And it gets +1/+1 for the turn if you cast an instant or sorcery.
I'd play this in Talon.
Oh, play this in Talran all day, but it's not that good here.
Nah.
It doesn't really contribute to your plan. And yeah, the body is it's not that great. Another card that's not that great is Dark Blade Agent. Is a 2/3. Whenever you surveil, it gets Death Touch, and when it connects, you draw a card. You'll probably be spending most of your resources to make sure Etrata connects, so you don't really want to worry about this thing. And this thing doesn't really do anything. It's just a 2/3 on the board.
Yeah.
It's just a 2/3 for 3, which is very expensive. It doesn't pass the vanilla test.
Yep. You're another card I don't think you should be playing, but like, I can see if you want to keep the surveil mechanic. Demir Informant. When you ran a 1/4 surveil 2 on ETB, it's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like, if you want to keep the surveil mechanic, sure, but if you're not, I wouldn't play this card at all.
Yeah, again, like the same theme. A 1/4 on the board doesn't do a lot. It
No.
doesn't help you in
And it's
any
all,
way.
yeah,
Like,
it's not protecting you very well because once again, it doesn't trade with most of the things that will be attacking on turn 3. If anything's attacking on turn 3, and
yep,
it's on a fast clock, and the ETV value isn't very high. It's just
yep,
everything on about this card is like low on the power curve.
yeah. And reminder, in Commander, people are swinging in with 40/40s. It your 1/4 dies to that, or when they give the 40/40 trample, you die to that too.
Yeah,
With the 1/4.
yeah,
So then this next card though, Homered Explorer. 4 mana 3/3 that mills 4 when it enters the battlefield. I like that card with Dead Eye Navigator.
yeah. not bad. Maybe
it's
you can
great,
hit their
but
elixir of immortality.
yeah, but when you play 1 mil card, you should be playing like 30 mil cards, and this is the only mil card in the deck.
And also, like 4-mana 3/3 isn't like the stats aren't great either. I mean,
Yeah.
oh man,
It,
I
I mean,
just avoid
if you're trying to mill someone, you need to commit to milling someone because you don't win the game by milling until they have nothing in their library. So you need to spend all your energy and resources to get rid of all their cards in their library. And then Commander, that's a long time. Milling 4 isn't going to help you to get there. Most of the time when a game ends, your opponents still have like 50 cards in their library. So 50 and 46 isn't that much of a difference in terms of mill plan. So we'll probably cut that card.
Soul the Rapids, also not a huge fan of. Soul the Rapids, just a 5-mana 3/2 hex verb. Not that good. As we already said,
not that good.
it literally dies to. Oh, I also has flying. My bad. But it also has or it just kind of it dies to a lot of collateral damage, and it's on a fast clock, and it doesn't block very well, and it just doesn't really give you a lot of value in general. So kind of like paying 5 mana to do nothing in EDH a lot of times. So
Yep. And like I know we're halfway through the 2 cut list, but I want to emphasize that we understand. We understand that you're using cards that you already have, but since we are trying to make room for you to put in those cards that we suggested, I think these would be the first ones to cut. Right?
yeah,
It doesn't mean they're bad cards. It just means that hey, you need to make room for the better cards
make way.
for your deck to make way for your deck to function. And the next card is Box Stomper. It's just a 6/5 vanilla creature. And
That's it.
I would suggest you to cut that.
It's just literally a 6-mana 6/5. That's it. It doesn't really do anything. So I mean, yeah,
Yep.
it has big stats. Like that's a plus. That is actually a legitimate plus. It has big stats, but that's it. You know.
Yep. Psychic Symbionts is a 6-mana 3/3. It's a political nightmare. By the way, when it enters the battlefield, you target creature. When it enters the battlefield, target creature. Sorry, it's 6-mana 3/3 flying. But when it enters the battlefield, target player discards a card and you draw a card. It's a political nightmare because when you play this card, you need to point at someone and say, "Oh, hey, you discard a card." Now they are your enemy. They're going to get rid of you. They're gonna get rid of your 3/3. They're gonna get rid of Etrata, and they're gonna go at you because you declare them as your enemy.
And like political nightmares, or just like enemy making cards, I guess, so to say. They're not necessarily bad, but like if you're gonna make an enemy of someone, or you're gonna play a political nightmare card, at least get something really good out of it. This is not worth the cost of making someone your enemy.
Yeah, like one example of a political nightmare card, by the way, going on a tangent here. Yeah, so one of those like political nightmare card that I would consider is strong enough for you to play. It's like Sadistic Sacrament. It's black for a card to say search target player's library for up to 3 cards, exile them, then that player shuffles their library. If this spell was kicked, by the way, the kicker cost is 7. Instead, you search that player's library for up to 15 cards, exile them, then that player shuffles their library. Right? If you want to make an enemy, you want to nullify them. So you're playing this card, oh hey, I'm gonna get rid of all your win cons from your deck. Cards like that is worth playing as a political nightmare. But the symbionts getting rid of 1 card that they can choose to discard isn't that great.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like going up to like a really tough guy on the playground when you're like in elementary school, and like flicking him on the forehead, and then they like stare back at you. And you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna die. Like if you're gonna flick someone, or if you're gonna like make someone mad or make an enemy of them, at least like take them out, or like do a really good job at incapacitating them or making them have to catch up.
Loyaleth Giants. Yeah, it's a great card. I love this card.
7 mana, 6/5 Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. Actually, I want to build a proper deck around this card. I do.
Yeah, it would work. It would be so good. And you play the best commander in the game, which is Helm of the Host.
Yep. And
Every
I would
turn you kill something.
play I'd play this with Helm of the Host and what was it, Sharnock Resonator. I'd play it with both of them. And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
and I would play like the jankiest green black like self mill deck, and then just like shoot someone for 40 and copy the trigger. It'd be like the best thing ever.
Play this in Dredge. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. And then I died to the other guy that I didn't kill because I'm out of gas. I spent all my resources milling myself and killing 2 guys, and then I just died to the other guy. I mean, but it's worth. I got to pull it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reason why this is bad in this scenario is we are cutting a lot of surveil cards, so there are going to be less ways for you to put creatures into your bin.
Even if you kept every single surveil card that you have in this initial list, I would still not play this card. Because it's like, this is the card that you want to play when you're actually trying to dredge yourself by like half your deck full of creatures, basically. So
Yeah.
and then this guy just doesn't cut it in this current build. I wouldn't play it even if you kept every single surveil card.
Yep. The next one is Dazzling Lights, which is an instant for 1 that says target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn, and you surveil 2 of that.
So can I ask you a question, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Hey, would you play 1 mana surveil 2?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Would you play 1 mana surveil 2 and -3/-0 something?
No, I wouldn't. And okay, so that's a little mean, but it kind of hopefully gets the point across where like even if you are keeping a surveil package, this doesn't do anything, Like even if you have surveil synergy, I still wouldn't play this card.
Yep. And the next card is Thought Erasure. It's a blue-black spell that says target opponent reviews their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, and that player discards that card. Surveil 1. Hand destruction is dangerous because, again, it's a political nightmare. You're declaring an enemy that says, hey, I choose you, Pikachu, and you need to discard 1 card. This one. You need to discard the best card in your hand. Now that player is going to hate you for the rest of the game. And I hope you're in a play group that where whatever happens in the game stays in the game.
Oh man, you might get beat up in the parking lot after the game if you're not.
But I wouldn't like. This is 1 card that it will be a little iffy for me to play. So number 1, you're spending 1 card to get rid of 1 card from 1 player's hand. That means, in terms of the card advantage situation, you and your target player lost a card, and the 2 other players, nothing changed for them.
Yep, totally unaffected.
Now they're like, oh great, yeah, great. You spent a card to get rid of 1 of their cards. I did nothing. That's great. Card advantage for me.
Yep.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's the best card advantage is the card advantage that you didn't have to work for, which is the people that play like 1-for-1 hand destruction cards in EDH. Great.
Yeah. So, and the surveil 1 is fine upside. I don't know if I will play this card. So
No.
There's a just against it.
And you know what the sad thing is, surveil? The sad thing is like a lot of the surveil cards, actually, I'm going to say a lot of them because I don't know if it's all of them, but a lot of them, if not all of them, have really weak surveil numbers. Like, if it said surveil 10, like, oh, okay, we can support like a dredge. We could literally support a dredge. Like, that's a better dredge. That is actually just a better dredge.
Oh my gosh.
Now we definitely, I would build a deck around that. Like, now it's not green black dredge, now it's blue black dredge.
You wouldn't need a card called Enhanced Surveillance for that. So 1 of blue for an enchantment that says you may look at an additional 2 cards each time you surveil. You can exile it to shuffle your graveyard with your library. Now, like if you're playing in like a eternal format, like I'm like, oh my gosh, my Johnny mine is like, if you have 2 of these on the battlefield, right? And every time you surveil, you're binning 6 cards into your graveyard. Oh boy.
Yep.
You have 2 of these. You're binning 6 cards. You build Gristlebrand. You have it in your graveyard, and then I'm gonna animate that, and Gristlebrand's out. You just won the game.
Yeah, it's just the surveil numbers are just too weak. Like compared to like and the actual dredge numbers, like mill 5, mill 10, like It's just not good enough. Not good enough.
Yeah, in Commander, you can play multiple enhanced surveillance. It's a singleton format, and
your best bet is to play it and copy it. But even then, that's like a 2-target combo in a singleton format.
Yep. And we already talked about how surveil is not like the best. We're gonna cut that card for you.
The last card that we would recommend not playing is Capture Spear, and that is a 3 in a blue, so 4 CMC enchantment aura, flash enchanted creature, and when it enters the battlefield, tap the enchanted creature, and the enchanted creature doesn't untap during the untap step. So basically, what this does is it removes it from combat, or combat situations, so it can't attack or block, but it stays on the battlefield. So any static abilities or activated abilities that it has can still be used. And in EDH, it's not a good idea to play these if you can help it.
Yeah, and here's why. I'm actually usually happy when my opponent played these kind of effects on my cards, because now what I'm thinking it would be, now they're not worried about it.
Yeah.
And when I have the way to win the game with the card that they enchanted with this thing, I can just remove that enchantment like the turn before, and I'll win with it. Right? It literally takes your opponent's guard. Like, well, actually, it literally takes your guard off those cards that you think you removed, but not really. Better you just cleanly remove it.
Yep. And another thing that I wanna draw a very clear line in the sand is we're not saying don't play single target removal once again. Because you could argue, well, by that logic, I should just not play any single target removal because like they could just protect it. They can give it protection, they can give it hexproof, like they can counter my spell. The difference between single target removal like that and single target removal like this is, well, one with Capture Spirit specifically, it's still on the battlefield. So like I said, static effects or activated abilities can still be used. But even if it didn't, even if they had the additional clause, activated abilities can't be used, they lose all abilities, whatever, even if it still had that, the difference though is, with all those other removal spells, they need it right when you play it, not any later. If they have it later, they have the turn after, too late, too bad. But with Capture Spear, like they could have it 5 turns later and good enough. Like their quote unquote protection or like removal spell to get rid of your enchantment. They can have it 5 turns later, 10 turns later. It's all okay. The difference is like that window to counter your plan of getting rid of their threat is much smaller with actual like real single target removal.
Yeah. So that's all the cards that we suggest you to cut. And overall, I think the set has potential. Like you should try experimenting with it. And by no means are the cards that we suggest to cut like are the absolute, like don't treat us as the Bible, but like treat us like we're giving you suggestions.
Yeah. And I think this was a great start too.
Yeah. And work on it, work on a deck, and eventually it's gonna be a great deck that your playgroup will fear, and
something you can be really proud of.
Something you can be really proud of. So yeah, keep working on it, and I hope you go places with this deck. It's gonna be great.
And if you have any follow-up questions, do feel free to email us again. We will be happy to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Brawling Pit. You can find us on Reddit at r/Brawling Pit. You can email us at brawlingpitmtg@gmail.com, or you can visit our official website at brawlingpit.com. As always, I've been Johnathan. He's Jacob. See you guys next time. So, Jacob.
What's up, dude?
I made the mistake. I made a mistake.
Alright. That's something new, but what is it this time?
I pre-ordered and received the Pixel 3 XL.
Oh boy.
Trading in my Pixel 2 XL.
Oh boy.
And so far, let's just say the experience is not the best.
What do you not like about it?
So the notch they have up top, is really annoying.
It's ginormous.
Number one, like it's so. Oh my gosh. They say it's not noticeable,
but it's noticeable.
They say it's not noticeable. Yeah, it's there every time. Every time I try to watch a YouTube video,
it's not noticeable phone, like a giant hat on your head.
Yeah, dude. What what are they thinking, right? And number two, the camera. This happened to me today. A lot of times I blog about my food on Instagram and such,
Oh boy.
and I try to take some pictures of what I ate today, and the camera app forgot to save.
No way.
Yeah, so I took a picture. I took a picture of a food, and it showed up in the preview pane. And when I went and tried to share it on my social media, it's not in my SD or it's not in my storage.
Right.
Because the app forgot to save.
You're joking.
Picture.
It doesn't just automatically save. I'm not joking.
I looked it up and it's a thing. The phone's app, camera app, forgot to save.
You're kidding.
I'm not. You can look it up.
Like, so you pushed the button and it didn't keep the photo.
It didn't save the photo. It will show up in the preview pane, but
okay, I want to emphasize, we've already done this with Magic the Gathering, but like, I want to emphasize that had to go through like so many levels of people to get that design approved, and like 20 plus people had to give it the thumbs up, the green light, and say, "Yep, that's working as intended. The customer will love it."
Yeah, well, they may have a very busy QA team that day.
Oh man.
Third thing I hate the most about this phone right now, and I wish like all these things can be addressed. By the way, like I don't know, like I may switch away from this daily driver maybe to an iPhone XR, but the speaker, dude, the speaker, it vibrates. Like if I am playing anything, like not even like rock, if I play like something like soft music, like, and I put it backside up on a flat surface and put some rice on it, you can see those rice dancing. Like soft music. Like we're talking about like piano and just like some jingles.
Yeah.
It will make those rice dance if I put rice in the back of my freaking phone.
Oh my god.
I cannot use this phone without using a headset because I can feel the vibration in my palm every single time. It's like, dude, what the heck, Google?
Nice phone, bro. Wait, what was the third reason? I'm curious.
The third reason?
Yeah, that you just said.
Oh, I just gave it to you. The vibration of the speaker.
That was the fourth reason. Okay, sorry. So that sounds really bad.
Yeah. I mean, there are some good things about this phone, by the way. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's still a good phone.
How is the call screening service?
It's great. But well, so okay, I get a lot of calls, and many of them are from people I don't know. And one thing I notice is like when I use the Google Assistant to do the call screening, people just hang up because they're like, "Oh, that's voicemail."
Oh my god,
that's what people think. Like, so the moment I'll click the Google Assistant, and when they hear "Hi," like in a robot voice, they're like, "Okay, voicemail." I'm gonna hang up.
Oh man,
I've never had the screening thing. Always just means click this to hang him up. That to me, that's my experience so far. Like I haven't had a person who actually sat through the thing and said something. So I haven't had a chance to experience the screening. Maybe you can call me later and we can see how that goes.
Okay.
But I haven't had that experience yet.
I think you just answered my question for if I'm getting the Pixel 3 or not.
You should get the Pixel 3 if you're trying to go for this gen. I would not go for the XL. Like in hindsight, the notch is just stupid.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much the same phone except the display and the battery life, and it's not that much of a difference. The notch is not worth it.
Oh man. All right.
The notch is not worth it.
Well, thanks for that thorough Pixel 3 review.